Hi devs, welcome back to another part of this Task Manager tutorial series that we're doing. First of all, I just wanted to show you the end result of what we want to achieve. I've just put this together in Figma. As you can see, we've got 4 columns. We've got a left-hand side for our menu, got a column for our list, we've got a column which will represent our task view, and we've got a column that's basically for the status. I call this the status column. So we've got a menu, list, view, and a status column. Just looking at our menu, we've got 3 options. Well, we've got 4 options actually. We've got a settings as well, but for the most part we've got our main list that shows all of our tasks. We've got a completed task list and anything that's in progress. If we look at our task list, we've got an add button, so this is where we'll add our tasks. We've got a search bar where we can search for our tasks, and we've got our tasks in the form of a task list item, which contains the title of our task, a category, description, and a due date. When we click on one of these items, this is where the view will pop up all the details. So we've got how important the task is, the task title, the description, the due date, and our list items that we're going to be adding to it. So say we're building a computer, this is where we can put tasks within. So add RAM, add a CPU, you know, like going more into detail with our task. They're optional obviously, but they're there if we need them. At the bottom we've got some buttons: delete, edit, and complete. And if we look over at our status column, we've got a timer. So if we're doing maybe the person that is using it, say they're a freelancer, you can time how long it takes you to do a task. And we've got a status badge and a category badge and a share button if we want to share it in an email or something. When we click this button over here to add a task, this is what will pop up. This is our add new task window. So we've got a title, we've got how important our task is, a task description. This is going to add to our task. This is what these are. And then when we click add, it'll add them down here. And then due date, due time, whether we want to include this or not, and a task, whether we want to add it to our calendar. So cancel, obviously, we'll cancel the form, and it might pop up a message box just asking if we've already put a title or something in it. It'll ask us whether we want to, are we sure we want to cancel it? And then our add task, which will just add the task to our list. That's just a brief overview of what we're going to be creating. So first of all, what we need to do is go and download our Visual Studio, just in case anyone's watching that doesn't have it, and I'll see you there. So head over to visualstudio.microsoft.com, scroll down a little bit, go down to download, and then just download Community 2022. When you're installing, just make sure that you've got this one selected. I've already installed mine, so I don't need to do it, but .NET development, make sure that this one's selected because this is the one that we're going to be using. Once we've got it downloaded and we've got it installed and everything, then we just want to start a new project. So to start a new project, once you've opened up Visual Studio, just click Create New Project. We want to make sure that we're choosing the right template, so we need to type in WPF and then .NET Framework. So it'll be this one at the top, Windows Presentation Foundation Client Application. Just select that and then click Next. I'm going to call mine Task Turner. Random, I know, in the namespace. So Task Turner, and then click Create. Okay, so before we actually do any design work or anything like that, there's a few things that I want to do over in the solution. So if you've never used Visual Studio before, there's a few parts to Visual Studio that's very important. This is probably the most important because this is our visual feedback. This is our main window, and if you look in our Solution Explorer, this is our solution. This contains all our project files. This is our project, Task Turner, or whatever you've named yours. And then we've got properties, references, then we've got an app config. This gives us information about our app. We've got an app.xaml, and we've got a main window. We open up app.xaml, we're going to be changing this in a minute because we're going to be moving our main window. But first of all, we need to actually create a few folders. So to create a folder, right click on our project, go to add folder. Remember, this is MVVM, so we're going to need to add a few folders. So we've got model, view model. That's what MVVM stands for. So we've got model, view model. We're going to add a few more folders as well. So we need assets. We're going to need services. We're going to need dictionary. Dictionaries. No, data service. Service. So we've got all the folders that we need there. Inside our assets, we're just going to add a few more. We're going to have images, data, and files. In fact, we can put data inside files. And just one more in files, and then we'll just put txt, just in case we need any text files. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to come back down to our view, and we want to just drag this main window into this view, because we want to keep all of our views in our view folder. In fact, I'm actually going to change the name of this just to make it plural. Same with model, and then view model. But if we go down to our app.xaml, this is what I mentioned earlier, we need to change that to views / so it knows where to start up. Just give the application a run just to make sure everything's working all right. Did you see how the window actually started up here? I want to change that and type in window startup location and just put center screen. If we go back to our Figma design, we can see that we've got a left-hand column, a task column, a status column. This column is the only column that hasn't got a dedicated size. This is just going to change this with the window. So if we make the window a simpler way, so if we actually close, if we do this, the only bit of this that's going to change is this bit. This is going to go smaller or bigger depending on the size. So we actually need to set the size with dedicated sizes. So let's start with this left hand side. This is 80 pixels wide. We're going to add some grid columns. So if we do our grid.column definition there, and then we just put our columns inside that. So we'll say CD tab, and that's created one column. So we've got our 4 columns, which is what we need. This first one is going to be 80 pixels, so we'll type in 80. Let's go back. This one is going to be 435. 435. This end one is going to be 140. This one's going to be 140. Now, the size of this window is way too small for what we need it. So let's just grab the actual size. So the width is going to be 1 to 80, and the height is going to be 832. Like that. To zoom in and out of your view, just hold down the control and then your middle mouse button. And to move it around, you can just press space and then move it around like that. And then we're just going to save that. So now we've got our columns in the right order. Next, what we want to do is we want to add some dictionaries. So we want to add some resource dictionaries. So go over to our Solution Explorer, right click on dictionaries, add new. No, we don't want that folder, sorry. Go over to our dictionaries, right click, add new item. then go to WPF and then resource dictionary, and then we're going to create one called color. No, we're not. We're going to call it colors. Right click again, add new item. This one is going to be called icons, and one more. This one is going to be called styles. But at the moment, they're just in the application. They aren't doing anything. So we actually need to couple it up to our app. So if we go down to our app.xaml, open this up, and then do resource dictionary, resource dictionary.merge dictionaries. So first of all, we need colors. So in between the resource dictionary.merge dictionaries, open up resource dictionary source colors dot XAML. Then we're going to add the icons dot XAML, and then resource dictionary source styles XAML. There we go. And I'm just going to come up to build, and I'm going to rebuild solution just in case. So now we've got a place where we can put our colors, the data for our SVG images, and our styles. So now I want to come over to models, and we're going to add a task model, which is going to contain all the information for our tasks. So let's go add class. This is just going to be task, and change that internal to public. So let's add some properties. So first of all, we're going to have an ID. So public int ID, get and set. Then we're going to add a public string title, public string description, public date, time, due date, and then public date, time, start date. Then we need a boolean is complete, time span, and this is going to be timer. And actually we'll need to add a few numerals. So you can think of an enum as a combo box where you click on it and then you've got a list of different items. That's what this kind of is. You can think of it that way. That's how I kind of always think of it. So task state, and inside here we will add. Yeah, so these are what, and the reason why I've added deleted is because I'm thinking about adding an option. So if you deleted it, you have like 15 to 30 days or whatever until it actually deletes completely, because sometimes you might be like, oh, I deleted that by accident and I didn't want to. So I'm going to add that option in. We're going to add another enum. This one's going to be called public enum, and I'm actually going to paste these in. I actually wrote these out in Visual Studio Code earlier, so I'll just slowly go down there for you so you can see. So that's the category, and there's just one more, importance, and when you hover over, it'll give you the information that's in the summary. So if you're creating a method or anything and you want to add that when you hover it, that's how you do it. You add summary there. Okay, so now we can actually add this to our task objects. So we're going to go public task state, public task importance, task importance, public task category. And now we want to come back over to our models and right click, add a new class, task checklist. And this is just going to contain two properties, public string description, and public bool is complete. Now let's go to our view model, and we're just going to add a new class called main window view model. This is going to contain all our code for our main window. I notify property changed, control and period, implement interface, protected virtual void, string property name, and then inside here we'll do property changed, and then we'll do a question mark, invoke this new, and then in brackets property name. That's just going to update if so when we're using observable collections and we call this, it'll update the list for us when we've bound it to an element in our XAML. But for now, that's all we needed to add to our main window view model. We'll be binding commands and stuff to this later. I'm just going to add another view model item that we need, and that's called a relay command. And the relay command is what, if we click a button, we need to interact with code that isn't in the code behind. When you'd normally click a button, you'd just add the code to the on-click event in the code behind, but we're not using that now. We're using view model. We need to add a class that extends iCommand. I'll just go through this with you. So let's right click on this, add, and I'll explain it as we go along. So this is going to be called relay command. Let's change that to public. So first of all, we're going to add private read only action underscore execute private read only func. It's going to be a bool, and then it's to be can execute public relay command. This is our constructor action. Bool can execute equals null, and then execute equals execute question mark raw new exception name of execute, and execute equals execute. That's just setting up our properties. Public event handler can execute change, add command manager, requery suggested equals value, and remove command manager dot requery suggested. Okay, next under the method public bool can execute object parameter and return can execute equals null, or can execute another method public void execute object parameter execute. That's the relay command. I'm going to create another one underneath. Do exactly the same. T, and actually up here we need to add iCommand. I actually did that wrong. we're going to do pretty much, we'll copy all of this. So I've just added it all and saves me wasting time going through it. So yeah, I've fixed that for you. Just copy and paste it in there. This, you don't really need to worry about it. It's just what we pass an action through, which is a button click in most cases, and it determines whether we can execute it or not. The constructor here takes an action. Okay, I think that's going to be it for this part. All we're going to do in the next part is add some colors. We're going to pick a color theme. I'm probably just going to stick with the one that I've got here, but I'll show you a good website where you can actually come up with your own color themes. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this part. Hopefully you've learned something and you're enjoying it. And if you are, please give it a thumbs up. That really means a lot to me. It helps with the algorithm, and the more people that watch it, the better the content will become. In the next part, we'll do some design stuff. We'll get everything in place, ready for adding actual tasks. So yeah, thank you again. Please stick around because it's going to get really good, really interesting. This was the boring bit out of the way. I tried to get straight in there as soon as possible, so in the next part it's going to be a lot more designing. So thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.